Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion. Plays the Binding of Isaac AFTERBIRTH plus 9 wins in a row. You would, it's not going to be Azazel. They wouldn't give me Azazel. They gave me the character after Azazel, known as Lazarus, QGP2A0Z9. How could I not? This is an item I don't want to get into Isaac talk right off the bat, but I'm obviously gonna. I mean, we're here. Oof. That would have healed us. I think that Pyromaniac is a little overrated. I'm just gonna leave. There might be enemies that create explosions. You know, we might be able to blow up some tinted rocks, which I would rather do for sure. Probably should have stood next to that, huh? Yeah. We're not gonna pick up the spirit hearts yet, but hold on. Don't get hit, dude. We got big plans. We can find better uses for our bombs. The thing is, if we die as Lazarus, it is advantageous. Hopefully in the long term. In the short term, it could get us killed, which in the long term, being killed is really bad. It really hampers a lot of stuff. You know, in particular, your future earning potential goes way down. You know, your ability to, you know, continue to have a rich and nuanced life full of high depth of experiences and so on and so. You get the idea. I'm having a laugh. Having a ruse in the court of the king. Shoot an explosive, you coward. That is not an explosive. I thought one of you shoots an explosive. Blacktooth, now that I think about it, it must be occasional halitosis. It has to be, right? It's the only thing that makes sense. A dead tooth, it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia reference, bad breath, etc., etc. I don't think... Here's the thing. We might not want to fight an angel statue, and we're coming pretty close to that level. I'm just saying, you know, don't shoot the messenger. Fighting an angel statue right now seems kind of bad. That is beautiful, though. You know what? There are those who might say this was the wrong idea. They may be right, but I saw an opportunity to give us a little bit of a damage bonus, to get our luck back to 0, and to get it off my mind, honestly. All of a sudden, you know, what did we pick up as a result of that? Not as much as I would have liked, for sure, but I had a good time playing a self-sacrifice room. Any run on which you actually get to touch a self-sacrifice room, you got some interesting sort of repercussions happening there. Doesn't happen all that often. So honestly, at this point, I kind of hope we start stacking up HP. I'm noticing that although our shots be large, our damage be very, very small indeed. You guys see that clip? I don't even know if I want to get into this. It is a little bit of a spoiler for Kingdom Hearts 2, okay? I've told you on many occasions my experience with the Kingdom Hearts franchise. It was very great. The first game I loved. It came out when I was like 14. It was a good age for it. And then I have that story about how I gave the game back to my friend, and he got really mad at me and was like, "Bro, what are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm giving your game back." And he's like, "Not in front of the girls." Because, I mean, you know, fragile masculinity and all that. I understand. I didn't play Kingdom Hearts 2, but I saw a clip of a pivotal scene from at some point in Kingdom Hearts 2 where Mickey Mouse shows up. Let's take it. And then somebody tries to assassinate Mickey Mouse, and Goofy goes, "Oh, Mickey, look out!" That's not a good Goofy impression, I'll level with you. And then he gets conked on the head and killed. And it just... it highlighted for me... Again, I'm not making fun of Kingdom Hearts. I think if there's ever a day not to make fun of Kingdom Hearts, or a week, It would be right now, you know, when it's only recently has come out after years and years and years, or I mean, over a decade of waiting for the third game, right? But at the same time, it was a little funny. There's this pivotal moment where, like, first off, come on, you gotta wake up pretty early in the morning to trick somebody into thinking that Disney is gonna kill off a profitable character, but also secondarily, just the innate humor of watching Goofy get conked on the head and presumably killed, although, you know, I haven't followed the canon, but I've seen promotional images of the new one, and I'm pretty sure he's involved in some capacity. When you walk away, you don't... That's right, I'm familiar. That's why I'm so effective, just clinical, in making fun of this stuff, is because I also am part of the fandom, you know? Not specifically for Kingdom Hearts, but I know just enough to get myself into a little bit of trouble. Now, hey, ease up there, buddy. I'm walking you. We got glaucoma. I'm really happy we got divorce papers on the last floor. It's a good item, and the rate of fire up is going to be very nice. I'm going to try to get something out of this. I will sacrifice some spirit hearts to do it as well. Not many, hopefully. Strength. Just want to see what's going on here for a second. This could be a pretty pivotal floor for us. Yo, huge. Emergency contact, an item I, to be honest with you, don't fully understand. Yo, okay. It's not really good, and we gave up a lot for it, but it is, you know, much more likely to get us to the transformation now, especially given how early we picked this up. Petition to make the Justice card orange and rename it to Orange Justice, please. Look, I'm not the world's biggest fan of Fortnite. I'm also, you know, in my 30s, so it's unbecoming of me to base my whole gamer identity around making fun of games that people in middle school like to play. So that's where I stand on that. All I'm going to say is, one way or the other, Fortnite has had a lasting cultural legacy on the world of dance. By hook or by crook, if you know what I mean. I don't know where I stand on that case. You know, I'm not an armchair lawyer. It is the case of, like, a few different celebrities suing Fortnite for basically ripping their dances and putting them into the game. I don't know where I stand on that. It's an interesting... It's, again, sign of the times. You know, can you copyright or patent a series of movements? You know, is the choreography the Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker Ballet? Is that copywritten? Monsanto's out here trying to copyright genes. You know, the codons that create the blueprints for protein synthesis. Yo, that should have torched him. Alright, so we got an Abaddon. That's been showing up like crazy lately. I will assume that, honestly, as of right now, we're a little bit above average in the damage department. I wouldn't dispute that. This run's actually very good. It's very, very likely to come through as a victory for sure. I don't know what Monsanto has to do with the Epic Store. It's kind of one of the more... I don't talk about the game's business that much because I don't really care. Like, and I don't say that to be flippant, but, like, for the most part, some of the stuff that happens in the games industry is interesting to me. On either, you know, from the perception of somebody who's kind of been in it for a while, but also simultaneously, you know, just interesting to see how the market forces play out. Like, the whole Steam versus Epic Store thing is really interesting right now. At the same time, I don't care. You know, like, I don't have a vested horse in the race. I'm not mad if something comes to Epic instead of Steam. And if that makes me not a good ambassador for the consumer, then, you know, whatever. But it's kind of interesting. It's one of the more interesting years, at least for, like, you know, PC gaming in a while. Mostly because there's actually some competition on that side now. You know? Epic's in such a weird place because, like, learned gamers are like, I hate Fortnite. But also, competition is good. But also, I don't want to install another launcher. You know, that's... It's where everybody's always like, you know, monopolies are bad. And it's true. I mean, on like a, you know, a Keynesian level, I suppose. Monopolies are bad. They discourage competition. But then when you're like, well, okay, here we got a situation where a third party is trying to work its way into the industry. They're being a little bit more developer friendly. They're promising better customer service as well, although we don't know if that's if they're at that point yet. And they're giving away some stuff for free. And you're like, well, when there still should. What I meant is that developers should compete against one another on Steam to make their games cheaper for me. I refuse to install yet another launcher. Well, you know, that's your right. I'm not saying, you know, you're acting in a way that's unreasonable, you know? I mean, I have the Epic launcher exclusively for Fortnite, but I would still prefer to buy things on Steam. But, you know, I also understand that, you know, if I didn't own a Nintendo Switch, I can't just, you know, be mad when a game is exclusive to Switch and say that it's anti-consumer. You know, these companies are all trying to make their own way in the world as well. I'm not saying, won't somebody please think of the company. I'm just saying, you know. I mean, I'm just running my mouth without having any, you know, good reason for it. You know, when a Nintendo game is exclusively on a Nintendo platform, it makes a lot of sense. Why wouldn't they try to, you know, leverage their market share? Okay, look, I'm just saying big words, all right? I don't want to talk about the games. Not until... Wait, what's a big one coming? Slay the Spire's out of early access now, so I got nothing to talk about, dude. I've been waiting on that one for like over a year, and now that it's out, I don't have to worry about other games that release this year. I do still have to beat level 20, or Ascension 20 is the silent, though, so I can release another video rating every card. I've enjoyed embracing memes a little bit more in 2019. I think for a while I've taken myself too seriously, entering a lot of these videos with a smile on my face now, and it feels good. You know, I make the Northernlion rates every card as the defect in Slay the Spire. I make those videos not because I think that I actually have something important to say, but because I think that they're entertaining. You know, if anybody watches them and is going... Get a little dicey here. If anybody's watching those and they're going like, this guy's a fool. Or if anybody's watching them and they're going... Well, actually, if you watch them and you go, this guy's a fool, that's great. I'm happy you were entertained. I understand there's some schadenfreude in watching somebody that you disagree with and have good reasons for talk about their case.
Excellent.
If you're watching, you're taking notes and going, oh boy, this is going to be a big day for me. I'm going to learn about all these Slay the Spire cards. You're getting the wrong value out of those. I'll tell you that right out of the gate. That being said, maybe one of the reasons I have a smile on my face is because I say no to items that are potentially dangerous. Like, for example, Hive Mind. Or Fire Mind, I should say. Hive Mind we had the chance to get, and did, now that I remember correctly, by looking at the sidebar. We don't really have a good reason for Fire Mind. I mean, we already have a Mind, and it would be a terrible thing to waste. We don't have the Mind. Common misconception. I mean, like, I have a physical brain. And then on top of that, I got fire via red candle. So, you know, mind plus fire equals mind fire. Play that, rewind it back, you get fire mind. We don't need it. Plus, our mind fire can't even hurt us. Look, all I'm saying is if you're going to be mad at any platform for existing, as much as I like a lot of Ubisoft's catalog, you should be mad at Ubisoft, okay? Because even though their games come out on Steam, they force you to play them through Uplay. And Uplay as a platform is a little spotty. I know somebody that follows me on Twitter is an engineer that works on Uplay in some capacity. I'm not insulting your work. I've seen your tweets. You're, I don't know, an order of magnitude more intelligent than I am in the coding department, without a doubt. As a platform, as a project, from the end user standpoint, I have concerns, you know? not being able, I mean, this has been a couple of years since I used it, but not being able to see people online who are online. Occasionally, we used to have a weird bug where we would not see other friends as being online, so we would have to delete and re-add people to our friends list, and then they would appear online. You know, just goofy stuff like that. I understand, you know. It's probably Yves Saint Laurent up in the CEO office in, you know, Paris. And he's going, you know, we need the DRM, we need the DRM. And you're going, okay, well, I mean, I'd rather invest my time in another, I mean, I'm not going to put words in your mouth that, I mean, it shouldn't get you in trouble considering I'm saying it and I'm talking out of my butt. I'm just saying, from an end user standpoint, I don't want to be one of those gamers that just craps on other people's hard work without, you know, putting into context. But Uplay is occasionally not the optimum experience from a consumer standpoint. That's all I'm saying about that, okay? Don't get it twisted. Ah! Now I'm walking it back in my head. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, Uplay's my favorite piece of software ever made. No, that's obviously not true, but you do have to be, oh, it's gonna be a gamer episode, I can already tell. It's not the gamer. The gamer consumers, you're innocent, okay? It's the other YouTubers, Twitch streamers I get annoyed with sometimes. You know, and it's hard to criticize stuff like this, because anytime you go, hey, I think you're overreacting to an industry that largely is about toys. And I mean, at the end of the day, that's not all games can be. You know, games can also be art. They can be touching. And, you know, Lego can be therapy. It can be rehab. You know, it can be a learning experience. So I'm not saying, you know, it's a toy to insult video games. But at the end of the day, it's, you know, it's toys. They just are. Oh, you idiot. Now I feel like we can't take anything else because I'm scared of my HP, even with the nail. Should have taken Death's Touch first, but I thought we'd take that and then we'd take Death's Touch and get it for half price. We totally could have afforded something else. Dang it. That's what you get for calling games toys. No, but you know, anytime you maybe go, hey bud, I think you're overreacting over like this DLC announcement, acting like it's, you know, an affront to consumer rights, they always go, I'm protecting the consumer. And then like a bunch of other people are like, yeah, why are you being a shill for the company? It's like a dog whistle. But there are some times, especially when it comes to games that are not even out yet. And there's big examples right now, like Anthem is a big one. You know, Anthem, I have no horse in this race. I have mixed feelings about BioWare, a lot of great experiences when I'm younger. A little bit less so recently, although I did like Mass Effect 1 and 2 a lot, and because I'm 30, those feel recent, even if they came out when you were like 6. But, you know, and I'm not a big fan of loot shooters to begin with. It seems kind of like, you know, a little Destiny-ish, so it's not my preferred genre for sure. But simultaneously, you know, there's been some DLC announcements. It's EA. It's not above criticism. You know, I still remember Battlefront 2, obviously. But until it comes out, who cares? You know, here's the thing. I mean, maybe it's just a difference of philosophy. Here's my opinion. If EA wants to sell a gun skin for $25 and that leads to their game failing, it's okay. You know, there's infinity games out there. There'll be another Anthem next year. You know, I don't want to say games are an infinite resource, and I don't want to act like not every game is special. Because, you know, they are unique in their own ways, I suppose. But simultaneously, you know, it's a corporate decision, and it's their product. They have ownership of it. It doesn't belong to the community until it comes out. Once it comes out, if the microtransactions are just absolutely god-awful, and this is, when Roundtable was still going, I get myself in trouble with this one quite a lot. Don't buy it. I know the idea is the game, you know, it's coming from a place of like protection. You're like, the game could be great, and I want the game that they're trying to sell me at E3, but once the real footage and the monetization table comes out, you know, this doesn't look like what I was promised at E3. It feels like you're losing something. but the thing that you wanted has never existed yet. I don't mean like no games come out of a filled it, because The Witcher 3, but sorry, DAE The Witcher 3, which in it, you know, to be fair to it, is like a masterpiece. But you know, the Anthem that exists in your mind is like a Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Zooey Deschanel, manic pixie dream game. It's never existed. It's entirely, you know, on one level, it's complicated, right? Anthem's different things to different people, and every game is different things to different people. You know, to the consumer, some people are looking at this game and they're going, that's going to be a good time for me and my friends who I haven't seen in a long time to game together with online. And some people are looking at it and going, you know, I've invested so much time as a mod of the subreddit, I need this game to be good for my own self-image. And then some of the developers are like, I'm just here for the paycheck. And some of the developers are like, this game is my baby, and I'm putting everything I have into it. And then, you know, at the higher brass level of EA, there's people who are like, you know, this game is gonna, you know, give me a sick corporate bonus, or this game is gonna really reflect badly on me if it fiscally doesn't do well, and you know, I'm gonna be fired. You know, these are complicated projects with thousands of people putting in input at, you know, different aspects, and certainly hundreds putting in input simultaneously. Just take the black card, okay? You know, you earned it. Hello, Ruka. And I don't say that to say that, you know, that it's beyond criticism. I say it mostly to be like, I don't know, to sound learned while simultaneous. I don't know, I still have never heard like a cogent argument for like, if you don't like it, don't buy it. That being said, I still support, you know, some kind of regulation surrounding loot boxes. As hypocritical as it might sound, I don't think it's hypocritical. Because, you know, when it comes to loot boxes, I do think it short circuits some people's cognitive reasoning, and kind of has pathways similar to gambling addiction. So, you know, if loot boxes were taken away from me from some kind of regulation, it would not be a net positive or negative in my life, because I don't tend to purchase them anyway. And even if I did, I wouldn't consider them particularly enriching, I suppose. But secondarily, I think it could be a huge positive on some people's lives, but, you know, it's not up to me to speak for them. Regardless, something that's like, you know, a known piece of media, you know, or a known price. If it's like, hey, you know, you can buy a hat, but it's gonna cost you $100 in game. I'm hugely in the if you don't like it, don't buy it camp. I understand that it might kind of fall under the same. Oh, I'm dumb. Might kind of fall under the same umbrella of, like, you know, some people are collectors and they just have to have everything. I suppose in the end I just have to say I'm less sympathetic to that, but, you know, that's my own personal folly, I suppose. I will take Rotten Baby. I think with Satanic Bible we should feel pretty confident here. Let's caffeinate and keep going. I'm just, you know, there's a lot of YouTube channels out there. I love and support all gamers, and if you're passionate about the game industry, that's really cool. I was very passionate about, I'm drawing a delineation. If you're passionate about the games industry, that's very cool. A lot of people are passionate about games. I'm still passionate about games. It's just changed as I've spent more time in the industry. Now I'm passionate about mechanics and about systems, and to some extent about design. Like, I talk your ear off about some of my favorite design games in the past couple of years. You know, Slay the Spire. The people knock it for the fact that there's a lack of variety. The fact is, the variety is implicit with the design of the game, and the fact that there's not a whole lot of enemies, not a whole lot of bosses, and, you know, not that many cards, is actually emblematic of the fact that the game is designed extraordinarily well. You know, it's got everything that it needs to support its own ecosystem without adding a bunch of junk that is, you know, not as conducive to having a fun or functional run. Isaac is like in the other side. You know, they threw everything in the kitchen sink in this game. Half the items are trash. You know, a third of the items never have any impact on the run whatsoever. Some of the items are too powerful, and they, you know, dominate the run. Isaac is still also a very, very well-designed game. Just, you know, well-designed in different ways. Into the Breach, one of my favorite, you know, games of last year, and I was happy to see it get what I consider to be a lot of credit in year-end lists, despite coming out in, like, February. Sometimes leads to people forgetting it. That game is extremely well designed. I played the bejesus out of that off camera and had a wonderful time. What I used to be passionate about and am no longer is console wars. I don't know why I said it weird. Console wars, NPD, you know, data, sales numbers. You know, producer X has left Ubisoft. Now they're heading up a project for EA. Consumer advocacy in the form of, like, how much is too much if you want to sell me Darth Vader. That sort of stuff, you know, there are outlets that handle that in a way that I think is appropriate without needlessly filleting or insulting developers and without, you know, just shilling and leaving consumers out in the lurch and serving as a PR mouthpiece. I'm just not that interested in it anymore, you know? And I kind of like, you know, I've been around. Kind of just of the position, like, if you don't like it, don't buy it. And I wish I had a better, more like fist-pumping moment, but I am just so tired of having discussions over expensive DLC. Like, I definitely am not taking the position that some galaxy-brained individuals have taken, which is like, well, you know, with games prices stagnating, DLC is a way for developers to continue to make money and, you know, do future projects and, you know, not have their revenue eroded just due to inflation, etc., etc. Because I think the fact that you still see so many layoffs on the production side of the games industry, like if they were making more money via these, why are developers still being fired and laid off and studios shutting down constantly? But, you know, maybe that's not a great argument. But then, secondarily, you know, I'm also just like, I don't know. Like, I really liked what I played of Assassin's Creed Odyssey last year. It was probably like 5 or 6 hours. I understand there's a YouTube contingent of people who are like, that game's design is flawed from the start because of the fact that you can buy levels and XP boosters and stuff like that from the store. I'm not saying I think it was implemented well, but the fact that that existed didn't take away my enjoyment of the game. I don't think it compromised the design of that game at a core level either. I was having a great time just playing it as well. So, you know, as always, in the end, all of Northernlion's Galaxy Brain's take end up being like, won't somebody think of the multi-million-dollar corporation? But, like, you know, without caricaturizing myself, I am pro-consumer. That's why when developers come out with some dumb garbage that costs too much money, I don't buy it. And I don't know. Maybe there's something wrong with me. I don't care for possessions. And I know that sounds like way too hoity-toity. But, like, you know, I buy things, but I don't buy, like, material things for the most part. I don't have, like, a collector's instinct in my body. You can tell from how long it's taken me to get the last remaining achievements in the save file. You know, when I buy things, I'll buy, like, a nice meal or something like that. For sure. And we travel. But I don't buy, like, you know, posters and Funko Pops and stuff like that. So, you know, when it comes to DLC, I can't even remember the last time I felt the temptation to purchase some DLC. Mind you, I do have to admit, I'm probably older than your average gamer at this point. Maybe? I don't know. I think it's possible. What's cool is I remember having conversations with my a particular friend of mine. We're still friends, and we talk, you know, at least a couple of times a week. I remember when we met, you know, we were like 15, 16, and he's like, how long do you think you'll play video games for? Like, do you think you'll play video games for, like, your whole life? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I assume when I get older and I get a real job that doesn't let me play video games 8 hours a day, I'll probably scale back, you know, and play a little bit less. I definitely won't play the same game for, like, 4,000 hours. I mean, who has time for that when you're an adult doing real adult things? But I could see myself, you know, playing some form of game until, you know, for the rest of my life. And he was like, yeah, I see myself playing games maybe until I'm like 25. Then probably like real world will just take up too much responsibility. We both still play games. You know, he's definitely more casual because he doesn't do this for a living. But, you know, even, you know, he's 30 now. He plays predominantly on his Xbox One. You know, he plays PUBG, Forza, stuff like that. Doesn't get too invested in the games industry drama. You know, he and his work buddies and his high school buddies, they just have, you know, discussions. They'll be like, hey, new multiplayer games coming out. You guys want to all pick it up, and they all pick it up and have a good time. You know? I think it's cool that there is, you know, you don't have to be invested in the industry to continue to be a part of the hobby, you know, as you get older. And that's kind of like where I'm at. I just don't care about the goings-on in the industry. Like, I could pretend to care, and I could make the thumbnails and BioWare hates consumers. They fired their sound guy and replaced it with somebody who tweeted something that is controversial. You know, but I just wouldn't feel good. Would I still sleep at night? Probably. You know, I've been a good sleeper lately for the most part, as long as my cats don't wake me up. But I would wake up in the morning and I'd be like, ugh. I'm much happier this way. Thank you for allowing me to do this, by the way. What's great is that I can also give my real ignorant opinions here, but because they haven't been clickbaited to Christ, not that many people end up seeing them, and as a result, I very rarely have to be held accountable for ignorant opinions that I hold about the video gaming industry here. Plus, I've taken, I don't know, like 9 programming classes, so I'm basically John Carmack. Can't tell me nothing. Dude, this is incredible. Eden's Blessing. Mostly for the next run. I'm stoked, and this one is just... We had 3 Isaac runs in a row, bare minimum, because these are the ones that we've done today, where everything's been hunky-dory, you know? We've barely talked about Isaac over the course of the last few days worth of episodes here. Feels good, dude. Now, try not to lose that bone heart. You like that trick right there? I totally remembered. And it's not being sarcastic for once. I actually did remember that we had, why is Explosivo the only thing coming into mind? Pyromaniac, that's it. This run should be a solid 10 out of 10 easy finish here. Probably should stop using Sack Dagger to do so much damage, but at the same time, somebody stop me. This is like peak Isaac for me. That's what I enjoy about the game, is just having the opportunity, you know, my mind is idly... handling the strategy and the tactics and the, you know, floor-to-floor movement and stuff like that, or the moment-to-moment movement, and my brain can run free. To say ignorant things about my colleagues. Not my colleagues that I work with. Just I see it on Twitter, you know. I just don't know how you can peddle game industry drama, dude. Like, as an adult, I don't know. That's consumer advocacy. What can I say? Anyway, thanks for watching. For the last time, probably, for several of you. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. See ya!